Hello everyone, it is Erin Floto here. I am in the office today, which is weird, but I am going to implement another time management technique, I guess. So today I'm going to be working on the Eisenhower matrix. So if you remember, this is breaking it up into 4 quadrants, and I will put the image on the screen. But basically, you are deciding if it's important and urgent, important, not urgent, not important but urgent, and then not important, not urgent. So there's 4 quadrants there that we can work from, and because my new hire is starting next week, I am able to do this delegate part now. So I am going to go ahead and take some time to work on, here are all the things that I personally have to do in my job, and then I'm going to put it in the matrix. And then some of the things that are in it, end up in the, I can't talk. Some of the things that end up in the delegate probably will go to that new hire. So I'm going to take some time and jot down all the things that I do at work and then put it into this matrix. So let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so I don't want to really film a lot while I'm at work. I'm the only one in the office right now, but I don't know if that's gonna be true in a little bit. So I'm just gonna show you really quick what the matrix is. And I downloaded this Microsoft Word template from the internet, so I will link that down below. But this is what I'm working on. So first I'm going to list out all my tasks, then I'm going to start sorting them into the things, because honestly I don't know all the things that I do, because some things are very one-off, some things are every month, so some things are constantly, so it's a little confusing. So I'm going to try to rack my brain for everything that I do and then put it on that template. Okay, I don't know if I got everything, but I did get like a whole bunch of stuff down. So I'm going to go ahead and assign for here. Okay, so I finished up my list and I'm finding a couple trends. One is that some of these things are very time of the year things. So like end of year reports, beginning of the fiscal year, like getting ready for that and prepping for that and all, and targeting and all that kind of stuff. So that is only, and I'm thinking about that now because right now is the end of the fiscal year and the beginning of the next fiscal year. September 30th is the federal fiscal year. So I'm like, all those things are like kind of going through my head now, but these are things that literally only happen at the end of the year. So I'm wondering if they're not, and I've put most of them in this like significant. It's very important, but the urgency is low. Although as I'm filming this, the urgency is high because I need to get it done in the next 2 weeks. So that's a little difficult to kind of parse out. And then one of the things that's really annoying is like things that I would deem insignificant are not. It's like legally required or something like that. I think that there's a better way of doing it. So I've put most of those things in either schedule or delegate for things that are like insignificant, but it's just because the way we're doing it is ridiculous. So I've put it in one of those 2 options so that we can do it better. Like for example, how I'm currently transmitting reports. Well, right now I have to like, not transmitting reports. How I am currently dealing with my referrals is like I get it through email and then I have to log everything. Well, if I create a workflow where I'm making a form, they fill out the form and it automatically logs the thing, then I'm getting rid of a really inconsequential step. but it's required because it's part of my SOP. So it's like things like that that need to get adjusted over time, because we're very much in a new age, right? A lot of millennials are working here and Gen Z is starting to come on. So it's like, we really need to develop better ways of doing things that like maybe boomers, or we didn't have the technology before, we didn't have the expertise before. So now that there's like a lot more young folks coming in, it's a lot easier to start making these creative changes, I guess I'll call them, and more efficient changes. So that's why I don't really have anything in the delete section yet. So I do think that this was a really good practice, because my boss has been asking me forever to do this and to say, hey, here, what are all the things that you're working on? And it's really hard to answer. So I do think I'm missing quite a few things, but it's just like, it's probably some of those things that only happen every once in a while. So then I need to like log, put it in here when I am actually working on it. So I'm going to keep this on my computer for now. I'm going to send that list to my boss, and then we can figure it out from there. But I have put in a lot of things for not urgent, aka delegate. So those are things that are going to the new hire, to a person in the support branch. So like helping me develop workflows. Like, I'm the idea person. Sometimes I implement them, and sometimes the like IT folks do that. So some of the tasks are delegating to those IT folks, and then some of them are like to my other work colleagues. And then significant is things that I need to schedule. So I would like to come up with something in my Outlook calendar that's like end of year reports, right? Put a calendar invite and block off time for end of year reports every year. That way, like I know it's coming every year, right? So at the beginning of September, I need to like kind of block off time to start those. And then at the beginning of the fiscal year, blocking off time for targeting inspections and things like that. So I think that's the idea, and I think that this is going to be helpful when it comes to scheduling those types of things. So I thought it was a good practice. I don't want to talk about it here because I'm in the office, but I will pick this up again tomorrow and kind of give my final thoughts on this. Are a couple days later, and here is like my final list. As you can see, this one is empty, which is really annoying. But let's go ahead and talk about my pros and cons. I do have my pros and cons list for the Eisenhower matrix. So I have mixed feelings on this, because I don't know if this is necessarily a time management technique. I think this is kind of laying everything out there before you implement techniques, because there's nothing about this that really helped my time at all. I can see it helping your time if you do actually put things in the delete column, because it'll help your time overall. But let's go ahead and get into my pros and cons. So my first con is that it is more of a long-term time management thing. Nothing about this was like, oh, I have to follow this to be the most efficient today kind of thing. This is like setting everything out so that you know tomorrow, next year, all that kind of stuff, especially with these like critical tasks that are scheduling. It's trying to figure out when to schedule them, which is most effective, but you're not really following anything to make your tasks that day more efficient. So this is more of a long-term time management thing. The second con is that it's not helpful for one, if there's no one to delegate to, which is really kind of funny to me that this is such a great tool for managers, because it just means the managers are getting all the things off their plate and giving it to the peons. But it is what it is. We all know how that works with managers. So not really helpful if there's no one to delegate to. There's a lot of things on my list that like I really wish I could offload because it is a time suck. Yesterday, I didn't get to work on my own reports because I was finalizing and transmitting a whole bunch of reports. Well, that's not really an effective use of my time because I'm doing everyone else's final step instead of working on my own report. So it was a little eye-opening yesterday while I was working, being like, oh, that's why I can't get a bunch of stuff done, is because like if those are things that just pop up out of nowhere, really, because they're working on their own inspection reports and then I have to finalize and transmit them. So that day they could be like, okay, this is final, it's good to go. And then I have to drop everything basically and do it that day. So it's not really an effective use of my time, but it's not really something I can get rid of either. So not helpful for no one to delegate to. And most of my tasks can't actually be deleted, this is number 3, until a more efficient process is implemented, which means it's taking up more of my time to get to a process and think about a process that would be more efficient, making the case to my bosses that that system would be more efficient, and then implementing that process. And with that comes a whole bunch of trainings and things like that. So it's a little difficult because most of these things I can't actually get rid of. I can't actually delete these tasks because they are surrounded in a process. And while I'm trying to make that process more efficient, I still have to do the things. So it is really difficult in terms of that thing. There was absolutely nothing on that list that I was like, oh, I can delete this. This is something that I don't have to do. This is something that my bosses don't need me to do. This is, like that realization was really annoying. Anyways, let's go over to the pros of the Eisenhower matrix. Number 1 is the act of writing all your tasks down. That was really, really cathartic, really helpful for me to just like have everything listed. And that's part of working on the matrix itself, is like you need to put all your projects down so you can organize them and prioritize them. So writing all the tasks down for each aspect of my work, because I do wear a bunch of different hats at work. I'm the federal facility program manager, but I'm also the criminal liaison. So it's like things like that is really, really helpful to have all of that written down and just to visualize all the things that I have to get done. Number 2 is setting up a schedule for certain tasks. While I was working on this, things that are high importance but low on the urgency, that's the term, low on urgency, are things that like I noticed that it's like end of year. At the end of the year or at the beginning of the new fiscal year, I have to wrap up our year, basically write summaries of everything that got done and how it got done and how quickly and all that kind of stuff. And then beginning the new year, coming up with inspections and things like that. So a lot of those things were very time sensitive. So at certain points of the year, it's extremely urgent. It's extremely important. But like while I'm riding the coast of like every other point in time of the year, it's obviously not as important. So I'm looking at that list and I'm like, hey, I should schedule blocks of time in my calendar every year to write the end of year report, to come up with the new fiscal year plan. And I block off like a couple weeks there or time during those couple weeks so that I have those scheduled out, those types of tasks scheduled out. So that was really helpful for me. And then the last pro is this isn't a pro, this is a con. Sorry. I realized I ran out of room in my con list. The last one is some of the delegating items still include heavy involvement. So yes, I am delegating that task to someone, but my input, my expertise, all that kind of stuff really does a lot of heavy lifting. So even if I'm delegating the task, I'm still heavily involved in that part of the project, if that makes sense, because I do have a lot of expertise in the area. So it's a little difficult when there's nothing to delete, you're delegating some items, but you still have expertise in the field. So then everything that you're delegating, you still need a hand in. So there's a lot of things like that. So those are my 4 cons and my 2 pros. The 4 cons being long-term time management, not helpful if there's no one to delegate to. Some delegating items still include heavy involvement, and most tasks can actually be deleted. And this is for my own work, not necessarily for yours. And my pros are active writing all your tasks down is really helpful, and setting up a schedule for certain tasks is really helpful. So those are my overall thoughts on the Eisenhower matrix. I'd be very interested if you are a peon like me, how you feel about this matrix and if it's actually helpful, or if you are in management and you are implementing this matrix, is it actually helpful for people that are in management positions that when they mean delegating, they mean delegating, right? It's not like I still have to be involved in this. Or when I say delete, I am actually deleting these tasks because I'm in management and I can make that decision. So let me know what your thoughts are. Those are my overall thoughts based on me working on this week. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next time management trial. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet, but this has been really enlightening doing these. So I definitely recommend for other people to spend a day just implementing some of these time management techniques and seeing what works for them. So I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.